After the so-called Tito-Stalin split that took place in 1948, the new Yugoslav People's Army, in short JNA, Jugoslovenska Narodna Armija, found itself in a critical situation. It was impossible to acquire new, modern military equipment. The JNA had been heavily dependent on Soviet military delivery and aid in armament and weapons, especially armored vehicles. On the other side, the Western countries were initially in a dilemma whether to help the new communist Yugoslavia or not. By the end of 1950, the side arguing in favor of providing military assistance to Yugoslavia had prevailed. In the middle of 1959, a Yugoslav military delegation visited the USA in order to achieve military cooperation between these two countries. These negotiations were successful, and on the 14th November 1951, an agreement for military aid was concluded. With this contract, Yugoslavia was included in MDAP, Mutual Defense Aid Program. Thanks to MDAP, the JNA received during 1951 to 1958 plenty of military equipment and armored vehicles, like the M38 Jekson amongst them. Welcome to another Tank Encyclopedia voiced article. I'm your host Galahad, and today I'll be covering the M36 Jekson in Yugoslavian service. If you like what we do, remember to subscribe and click the bell button so you don't miss a single video. If you want to contribute more directly and help us to produce more content, consider donating on Patreon or PayPal. Also, don't forget to check out our website for the full written article this video is based on, and countless others. Thanks to the MDAP military program, the GNA was reinforced with a large number of American armored vehicles, including the M36. During the period of 1953 to 1957, a total of 399 M36 were acquired. These included some 347 M36s and 42 to 51, the exact numbers are unknown, of improved M36B1s. The M36 used modified M10A1 chassis, while the M36B1 was built using a combination of M4A3 hull and chassis. The M36 was to be used as a replacement for the obsolete and outdated Soviet Su-76 self-propelled guns in the anti-tank and long-range fire support roles. Infantry divisions were equipped with one anti-tank unit, which, besides the main command battery, had 3 anti-tank battery units with 18 M36s. Armored brigades of armored divisions were equipped with one battery of 4 M36s. Also, some independent self-propelled anti-tank regiments were formed. Due to the bad international relations with the Soviet Union, the first combat units that were equipped with M36s were those who guarded the eastern border of Yugoslavia against a potential Soviet attack. Fortunately, this attack never came. Yugoslav military analysis of the M36 had shown that the 19mm main gun had enough penetration firepower to efficiently fight the mass-produced T-34-85. By 1957, their anti-tank capacities were considered inadequate to deal with modern tanks of that time. According to JNA military plans from 1957 onwards, the M36s were to be used as fire support vehicles from long distances and to fight on the sides of any possible enemy breakthrough. During its career in Yugoslavia, the M36 was used more as a mobile artillery than as an anti-tank weapon. According to the Drvar military plan, late 1959, the M36 was ejected from use in infantry regiments, but remained in use in mixed anti-tank units of many infantry brigades, 4 M36s and 4 Taut anti-tank guns. Mountain and armored brigades had 4 M36s. By the late 60s, the M36 was removed from the first-line units. Most were sent to be used as training vehicles, moved to support units equipped with missile weapons. Although the process of modernizing military technology was initiated in the 1980s, there was no adequate replacement for the M36s, so they remained in use. The Soviet-towed smoothbore 100mm T-12 artillery was considered better than the M36, but the problem with the T-12 was its lack of mobility, so the M36 remained in use. The 90mm main gun didn't have enough penetrating power for the military standards of the 50s and 60s. There were some attempts to improve the quality of the ammunition used, or even design new types and thus improve the characteristics of this weapon. During 1955 to 1959, Experiments were carried out with new types of domestically developed and manufactured ammunition for the 90mm gun. Two types of ammunition were developed and tested by the Military Technical Institute. The first was the HE M37 round, and late during the 70s, a new slowly rotating heat M74 round was developed and tested. These tests showed that the M74 round had good penetration power. The pre-production of this type of ammunition began in 1974. This round was supplied to all units equipped with M36 and M47 tanks. In the late 50s and early 60s, despite great help from the West, there was a great problem with maintenance and ammunition supply. Many tanks were not operational due to the insufficient spare parts, lack of ammunition, an insufficient number of repair workshops, equipment defects, and an insufficient number of adequate vehicles for delivering supplies. Perhaps the biggest problem was the lack of ammunition. The problem with 90mm ammunition was that some units ran out of shells during peacetime. During the long service life of the M36 in the JNA, some modifications and improvements were carried out or were tested. On some M36s, a domestic-built infrared night vision device was tested. It was a direct copy of the one used on the M47 tank. At the beginning of the 70s, a number of M36 vehicles were equipped with a similar system. Besides the original 19mm M3 gun, some models were rearmed with the improved M3A1 gun with a muzzle brake. Sometimes a heavy 12.7mm M2 Browning machine gun was used, located on the turret top. By the 70s, due to significant wear out in some vehicles, the original Ford engine was replaced with the stronger and more modern engine taken from the T55 or T3485 depending on the source. Because of the larger dimensions of the new Soviet engine, it was necessary to redesign and reconstruct the rear engine compartment. A new opening door measuring 40 by 40 centimeters was used. Brand new air and oil filters were installed and the exhaust pipe was moved to the left side of the vehicle. An unusual fact was that, despite experimenting with various types of camouflage for its armored vehicles, in addition to its primary grey-olive, sometimes in combination with green, color, the GNA never adopted any use of camouflage paint for its vehicles. Even though the M36 was completely outdated as a military vehicle in early 90s, it was still used during the civil war in Yugoslavia. This was mostly due to the simple reason that it was available in large quantities, and since no stronger tank forces were available in sufficient numbers, something was certainly better than nothing. Nearly all 399 were still operational by the beginning of the war. During the confusion of the war and the gradual withdrawal of the GNA from the former Yugoslavian countries, Bosnia, Slovenia and Croatia, many M36s were left behind. All participants of this war managed to capture and use certain numbers of this vehicle, under various circumstances and conditions. As most tanks, armored personnel carriers and other vehicles were mainly used in the infantry fire support role. The older vehicles could still be used without fear of engaging modern vehicles. Thanks to the M36's good gun elevation and strong explosive shell, it was considered useful, especially in the mountainous parts of Yugoslavia. They were mostly used individually or in small numbers for the support of infantry battalions or company advances. Larger groups were rare. During the war, the crews added rubber boards on some M36 vehicles, partially or on the whole vehicle, in the hope that this modification would defend them from the high-explosive anti-tank warhead. Such modified vehicles could often be seen on television or images published during the war. Whether these modifications were effective is hard to say, although almost assuredly they were of little value. There were several cases when these modifications were claimed to have helped protect the vehicles which had them, but again, it's difficult to determine whether these occurrences were due to this rubber armor or some other factor. One such vehicle can be seen today at the Duxford Military Museum in Great Britain. It was bought after the war with the original Republika Srpska markings. After the end of the war, most M36s were withdrawn from military use due to the lack of spare parts and obsolescence, and were scrapped. The Republika Srpska a part of Bosnia and Herzegovina, used the M36s for a short period of time, after which most were sold or scrapped. Only the new Federal Republic of Yugoslavia, consisting of Serbia and Montenegro, still continued to use them operationally. According to the Armament Regulations Institute by the Dayton Agreement, late 1995, the former Yugoslav countries had to reduce their numbers of military armored vehicles. The Federal Republic of Yugoslavia retained the right to have around 1,875 armored vehicles. By this regulation, a large number of older vehicles and 19 M36s were removed from service. Some units which were equipped with the M36 were based in Kosovo and Metohija in Serbia during 1998 to 1999. In that period, the M36s were engaged in fighting the so-called Kosovo Liberation Army, KLA. During the NATO attack on Yugoslavia in 1999, a number of M36s were used in the fighting in Kosovo and Metohija. During this war, only a few were lost due to the NATO airstrikes, apparently mostly thanks to the camouflage skills of the Yugoslav ground forces. The last operational combat use of the M36 was in 2001. They were defending the southern part of Yugoslavia against Albanian separatists. This conflict ended with the surrender of the Albanians. Changing the name of the country from the Republic of Yugoslavia to Serbia and Montenegro in 2003, the M36 had, ironically, outlived yet another Yugoslavia. By the order of the High Command of the Armed Forces of Serbia and Montenegro in June 2004, all usage and training of the M36 was to be terminated. The crews who were on training on this vehicle were transferred to units equipped with the 2S1 Gvozdika. In 2004/2005, the M36 was definitely removed from military service and sent to be scrapped, ending the story of the M36 after nearly 60 long years of service. Several M36s were placed in various military museums and barracks in the former countries of Yugoslavia, and some were sold off to foreign countries and private collections. This concludes Tank Encyclopedia's video on the M36 Džekson in Yugoslavian service. Don't forget to check out our website and our Patreon, and until next time, keep us in your sights.